I was born to a very rich father. He was a businessman. He went bankrupt. My mother weeping distinctly is there in my mind. I should have been probably between 8 and 9 year old boy. And I started seeing my mother leaving home. On that day, if I did not follow my mother, probably I would have lost her forever in my life. There were countless nights I slept without dinner. Me and my family, we slept without dinner.
How could you impose your trust on humanity?
If you have a desire and a willingness, if you don't lose your heart, this world will come together to help you out.
What do you think are the biggest challenges at a C-suite role?
I think the most important thing is that fear of failure. CEO's failure is extremely costly to the organization.
Such a pleasure having you, sir. I know that you have given me permission to call you by your first name, but at times, I find it extremely difficult to call somebody of your stature by the first name. So thank you so much for being a guest on our show, the xMonks, right? Such a pleasure having you here.
My pleasure. His pleasure is equally mine. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me make an attempt to call you by your first name, Shanta.
Yeah, that's good.
Shantaji.
That's what my mother calls me.
Thank you. Thank you, Shantaji. I'm a firm believer that who you become today is a lot to do with the way you are nurtured, the way you are fostered by your environment in the initial space of. In all my interactions with you, I found you extremely humble, extremely kind, extremely sharp, very well measured words you have used. You can talk about economics, you can talk about the political arena, you can talk about business, you can talk about spirituality, you can talk about kindness, you can talk about humanity, environment. Very curious. What are those lessons that you have picked up from your childhood that continue to serve you and helped you become who you are today?
Yeah. I think a couple of them, probably I may say three of them. The first is that I was born to a very rich father. He was a businessman. I think some or other he over leveraged and he did something which I personally believe he should not have done it. Now I understand. As a result, he went bankrupt. I still remember that moment. I was just a 7-year-old boy. And some 5 or 6 people came in the evening to my home maybe around 7 o'clock. And some papers were signed. And my mother was weeping. My mother weeping distinctly is there in my mind. Something bad happened. I did not know what is it and all. Later I learned that my father, who became bankrupt, he handed over his entire business, everything, as a settlement. And my father was crying like anything. As a 7-year-old boy, that's what I remembered. But later, it taught me many things in lesson when I started understanding what happened to my family at that moment. A rich man has gone bankrupt. And my mother, who had her own social stature, everything collapsed. Then second event, we distinctly remember after this event happened, then we started struggling. And my father could never recover out of it. He practically became a wreck. That sometime if he were brought with all coziness in life, if something really drastically happens, you don't know how to recover. So he was brought with a silver spoon in his mouth. So I did not know how to recover. It was a very bad event which happened. My mother was struggling. Of course, she had a very difficult moment. Once the family, some event happened. In Bangalore, those days were around 8:30 or so, it will be deserted roads. And in a fitness of her hunger, she left home in the night around 8:30 or 9 o'clock. I should have been probably between 8 and 9 year old boy. I started seeing my mother leaving home. And by that time, we had a rented house from that rented house. And I started going back of her.
And
And
you're
my
saying
mother,
that you were 8 or 9.
between 8 or 9, something like that. Okay. And she will walk, say, 100 steps. I'll walk behind her 100 steps. She walks 50 steps, I'll walk. She stands, I also stand. Between both of us, probably there would have been 20 steps or 30 steps difference, which went on. After about a kilometer of walking, maybe 1.5 kilometer walking, my mother sat down on a roadside pedestal and I was standing. She called me. I went to her. She hugged me and started crying. She cried like anything. And she came back home. Probably on that day, if I did not follow my mother on that day night, probably I would have lost her forever in my life.
Forever for life. Yeah.
Probably I would have lost her forever in my life. And today she's 84 years old. She is with us. We are all very lucky to have her with us. I think that is one memory which is always there in front of me. Where is
Shanta,
it?
very curious. When you were following your mother and there was a distance of around 20 feet, what was going on in your head?
I don't know. I was blank. But my emotion was saying that my emotion was taking me around her.
Just follow.
And even today, if you ask any logic, I have no logic. But something, maybe a sheer emotion between mother and a child, whatever it is, it just made. Then the third incident, which basically created fundamentally in me my value system. That was at the age of 12 years, I became a porter boy in the vegetable market in Bangalore because livelihood was very difficult. There were countless nights I slept without dinner. Me and my family, we slept without dinner, countless.
Literally without dinner.
Without eating anything. There are days we just drank water and slept. There are days little bit something was boiled, some salt was put into it, some mirchi was put into it, and we drank and slept. That is me, my father, my mother, my father. Anyway, by that time he was a mental wreck, and my two sisters and my grandfather and my grandmother. So at the age of 12, I became a porter boy in a vegetable market. What I used to do is that every day morning, I used to wake up at 4:30. And even today, I wake up at 4:30. By 5 o'clock, I'll be in a vegetable market. Those days, the auction used to start by 5:30 to 6 o'clock. Auction will start, vegetable auctions. My job is to lift the vegetable carts from the truck to the auction block. I used to do it as a young boy. Between the age of 12 and 14, I did that job. And those were the days, depending upon the amount of the luggage you lifted, and I was paid. And I am supposed to keep count. And there are days I could not keep count. I forgot. There used to be a gentleman called Noor Saab. We used to call him Noor Saab. I don't know what his original name. And normally, whenever I counted, the max I got used to be about 1 rupee 75 paise. Those were the days of the Anna, 1 rupee 12 Anna kind of a thing. But there are days I used to forget. I said, no, sir, I forgot how much I shifted. Used to take 2 rupees. And as a young boy, this went on sometime. The day I forget, you will give me 2 rupees. But the day I counted, I never earned 2 rupees. One day, I forgot, he gave me 2 rupees. I was just waiting till he finished his counting, everything, he finished the job. Then I asked him, I was still standing. No, sir, called me, asked me, why? Is there any problem? Do you want more money? I said, no, sir. Every time I count and shift, I never earned 2 rupees. But the day I say I forgot, he gave me 2 rupees. I'm curious to know, why are you giving me more money? He told me something which is stuck in my mind. He told me, see, even if you have told me a lie, how much you shifted, I can't count. Okay, I would have still trusted you. The fact that you said you forgot, it means it touches It's a very honest statement from you. I know there's a good English I'm putting it. You said something in a very, very different language. And he said that for that, I have to give you more. Then he said one more very important thing. This is what he said. When you're not counting and sifting, you are working more. You are working more. And I know that the day you've stopped counting, you work more. And hence I should give you more. That is an amazing, powerful statement. He made it to me. And that incident stuck with me all my life. All my life. You may be surprised, not even one job, 6 jobs I worked. 5 times I changed the job, apart from the first job, which I got later. 5 times I changed the job. Not even one job I negotiated my salary. Whatever they offered, I took it. Not even my entire 37 years of professional life. Not even once I went to my boss or my HR guy and told them that I want a lesser salary. Never ever I did it. Okay. The thing is that these childhood memories create something in our life.
Precisely.
Those incidences stay with you eternally. And sometimes our life gets crafted as a result of those things.
Thank you, Shantharji, for sharing that. Reminds me of this statement I read some time back. When you treat human beings like human beings, they will prove you right. And when you don't treat human beings like human beings, they will still prove you right. 2 questions. One is, when you had to go through, or you went through at an age of 7, at an age of 8 to 9, at an age of 12, and you had to go through these such difficult moments, how could you revisit your relationship with failures, so-called failures, or struggles, or challenges, I always find you so humane. How could you impose your trust on humanity?
I think there are some things which happen in your life that tells you, as I mentioned, there are 2 more events which happened in my life. And so that taught me how to deal with this kind of issues. In 12th standard, my mother wanted me to be a BA. She did not know there's anything called a BCom, BSc, engineering, all that things she did not know. It was very easy for her to tell me I should be a BA. That's all.
That's it.
So my mother had this grand vision that my son should be a BA. Everybody used to tell my mother, make your son to go and work. You will keep your life better. Why are you struggling? Why are you struggling like this? And those days, if my mother asked me, I would have gone on, right, leaving my school, colleges, everything. But my mother had this grand vision. So in 12th standard, I was a good student. Last day, I had to pay a fee. Previous day, my mother went around 60 rupees exam fee. She went around, she could not get. Nobody gave her the loan. At that time, probably wherever she could get it, she would have got it. Kind of a thing. She came back and she told me she was crying. She was crying. And she said that I don't know what to do. Tomorrow again I will go and I will try to find out where I can get some money. And I did not know. That night I did not sleep. I still remember our college used to be a morning 8 o'clock college. It was a Friday morning. I went to my college. I met my Kannada lecturer. I told him, I don't think I'll be able to take an exam. This is my situation. That person, he did not know what to do. He thought about it. Something happened to his mind. I still remember. He took a chalk piece box. He put all the chalk pieces on the table. That box, he brought it. He was sitting next to the person who was collecting the fee for the exam fee. He kept on asking the person that here is one bright boy is there. He's unable to pay for his exam fee. If you can contribute 5 rupees, please do so. It went on. By around 10 o'clock or so, the last day, there's always a rush of students to pay exam fee. He collected 60 rupees, and my 60 rupee was paid as an exam fee. If he did not do that on that particular day, I would not have been sitting here and talking to you. Probably I would have been some ordinary man doing some fancy jobs, kind of a thing in my life. That anyway is a thing. Then the second event which happened is that my second PUC marks was extremely good. My 12th standard marks was very, very good. I got an admission to one of the best colleges in Bangalore. I still remember the fee was 240 rupees was the admission fee for the college. And again, my mother struggled around. She came back and she brought 150 rupees. Still, there's a shortage of 90 rupees. Very next day, early morning, I went to my landlord. He used to go to Binny Mill factory at 6:15 was his. I was standing in front of his door. He opened the door, he found me. He asked me what happened. Why are you waiting? I told my situation. Immediately went inside, got 100 rupees, gave it to me. I said, go and pay your fee. By that time, probably for 1 year, we would not have paid a rent for that house. Probably 1 year we had not paid a rent. Those days, rent used to be 30 rupees a month. But still, that individual gave me 100 rupees and made me to go and pay my college fee. If he did not do that, my entire life would have been turned differently. So those two incidences, I always remember and say that if you have a desire and a willingness, if you don't lose your heart, this world will come together to help you out. This world will always come together to help you out in one or other form, in what form you do.
Yeah.
So I think that these are all the incidences later it created in my life, what I am and how I behave. And if I face a difficult situation, how I face, right? So every individual will have these things somewhere in the back end of their mind, it works.
No, this is so fascinating, Shantaji, because now I can connect with, because I remember during our initial conversation, you mentioned that how you are taking care of the studies for over 50 children, right, who are doing their MBBS and their engineering. And I could connect that
As
because
we speak, there are 55 of them, they've already become doctors and engineers.
And you have sponsored
one of the doctor is now a research scholar in John Hopkins University in USA. And as we speak, there are another 89 of them. They're at the various stages of this study.
Yeah.
So, and yes, we sponsor through my family trust, sponsor all their educations. Yeah.
And that's your way of giving back. You are that Nursa for somebody. You are that landlord for somebody. You are that teacher for somebody who's sponsoring the education. At that point in time, it was 50 rupees. But I'm sure now it's few lakhs, few crores that you've been able to put it together.
I'm repaying their debt.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. I'm repaying their debt. Okay. Thanks to them, I'm what I am in my life. And there are many people, thanks to them, what I'm in my life. Is not that with any great sense I can say I'm doing this or that. Those are all the young kids like me. And they will also prosper one day. And their entire generations will get changed if something happens. Thanks to those two incidences. Yeah.
That's how we create the ripple effect. That's how we create that. You also mentioned that you changed 6 jobs, 6 organizations, and it was not for money. What has influenced your decision to move from one organization to another? If you may share that, please.
See, my first job, I got it purely for the sake of livelihood, honestly. Touch wood, I got a very good job, my very first job as a management trainee, doing well. But I wanted to do CA, I just quit it because I did not have the money. And I worked, and later on I did my MBA. And then my second job, I got it as a result of my MBA, was a great company called Aisha. And I had a couple of jobs which I rejected, but I joined Aisha because the job content of Aisha was extremely good. What they gave me was a great job content. I valued the job content better than anything else, though they paid me the lowest salary of the 4 jobs I had. But at that time, is a pure job content, salary, and other things. Whatever they gave, I just joined for the lowest salary also. I joined, but one of the finest company I worked for, I must personally. And then there is an event which happened in my personal life. My mother was having a very severe medical issue. Then I quit my job without having another job in my life. Then I joined a company called Smith & Become Pharmaceutical, practically as an executive assistant to a then managing director, and even at a lower salary than what I was earning. Till then, it was just a pure salary, nothing, livelihood. Plus, a desire that I should do something big in life. That's all. But some important event happened in my life. Yeah. At some point, a job came up in London. My then boss in London, he called me and said that, look, if you are interested, this job will be yours. And this was not known to HR or anything. My direct boss basically told me that this is yours if you are interested. And I, myself and my wife, we were discussing about it. In fact, we were there in London for some other event. But my wife's heart and soul was not there. But I was okay, kind of a thing. Okay. Then I came back, and at that time I had a great mentor, and he was one of the finest individual in my life, my fatherly figure, one Mr. Harimon Khanna. He was the head of marketing and sales. And he knew all my entire life and the background, me and his wife. So I went and talked to him and I told him, I'm just thinking about it. I don't know what to do about it. He just innocuously asked me one question. Why don't you sit over in the weekend and write and think about what is the purpose of your life? For me, it looks one of the questions. Whatever he used to tell me, I used to take it very seriously. And I was very young at that time, still very young. Okay. At the age of 35, I became a CFO. Okay. For a well-known multinational company in India. So then I was thinking over it in the weekend. I still remember the question he put me on a Thursday. In a weekend, Saturday, I had a couple of drinks. I was just thinking over all my childhood memories came back. All which happened in my life came back. Somewhere early morning Sunday, I wrote my purpose statement. That was a purpose statement I wrote. I used to carry it. Later, if there's no need to carry it, I wrote that I will make a positive difference to the lives of the people in the society and around me. I will make a positive difference to the lives of the people in this society. Then the question came is that what the hell I will do going to London? My answer was obviously negative answer to myself. That's all. And afterwards, I called up, of course. Then I called up my boss and I told him, look, I don't want to do an injustice to the trust you are going to impose on me. I don't think that I'll be able to do a justice to the job. And it was extremely good. He said, I honestly trust you for what you say. I think that, but the world is so big and large for you. And there will be a lot of other jobs will be waiting for you. And that's it. Afterwards, never look back. Then every time a job came up, only question I will ask is that, will I make a positive difference to the lives of the people in the society and around me? If the answer is yes, I will take that job. If the answer is no, I will not take that job.
So that became a lighthouse for you. And I'm wondering, how many people have I come across who are taking decisions from a sheer intention statement, from their purpose statement? And interestingly, you mentioned that for the initial 3 jobs, it was driven by livelihood. And after that, it was driven by a purpose statement. And saying no to an opportunity back then for a career growth opportunity in London was a big thing. Shantaji, my personal take, and I could be 200% wrong as well. I don't think that even today the CEOs are taking decisions from this kind of a lighthouse. What do you think are the biggest challenges at a C-suite role? Because you do a lot of work. You are a mentor. You're on the board of several organizations. You are a mentor to a few of the best CEOs in the country. What are your views on this?
I think the most important thing is that fear of failure. Most of the CEOs, they get enormed by the fear of failure. Mm-hmm. If I fail, how do I look like? And because life at the CEO level is extremely lonely. I can tell you, 17 years I was the CEO, life is extremely lonely. Okay. So the fear of failure basically becomes a big issue to handle. It has happened to me also. But I used to have a very funny way I used to deal with it. What is the worst that can happen to me? I was a porter boy in the vegetable market. Nothing worse can happen to me. Okay. That's it. Let's move ahead. But it's a fear of failure that basically brings them down. And second thing is that I think somewhere they create a feeling. CEO means that they are superordinary human beings. Absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. And somehow the CEO position gives a lot of bucks. And they start living their life in someone else's eyes. If I'm a CEO means I should be like this, I should behave like this, I should have this kind of a, stage, car, all kind of stuff. Okay. And the third thing is that some more other thing is that they forget there is some inherent strength in them that has taken them to the position which they hold. Rather than sticking to their strength, they have a tendency of safeguarding their weaknesses. My view is that don't try to safeguard your weakness. In fact, a good CEO, you must always be vulnerable. You must make it known to your team what you are not good at it. And you should also make it known to the team that these are the things I don't think I can handle. And get the other team members who are capable of handling it. And be human. I mean, be a human being with all weaknesses, show it to them. And they protect you. They protect you against your weakness if you make it known to them. So I think that this somehow the wrong belief that you are a superhuman being is what troubles. Don't forget your strength. One thing I know, you can never ever convert your weakness into a strength. Forget about it. At least you can diminish the impact of your weakness. But it is your strength. That's what will take you where you are. Focus on your strength. So this what I personally feel the challenges that the CEOs face. Be a human being.
Just be a human being.
Protect your weakness through your team members.
So
that's, and stop living in someone else's eye. That I think is very important.
I just love it when you said just be a human being. I mean, we are not expecting demigods in front of us when we are talking to our leaders. And similarly, the teams are not expecting their boss to be demigods, right? As you use the word superhuman beings, we are not dealing with robots, we are dealing with human beings. And I also loved it when you spoke about that we live from a concept of a vice president. I am a CEO and that is how I should be behaving, without realizing that I'm a human first. You know, it reminds me of my conversation with one of the CEOs based out of Mumbai. And this person said that, Gaurav, I'm a CEO and I cannot make a mistake. I'm a problem solver for the organization. I'm a problem solver for everyone. I said, okay, if you cannot make a mistake, then how would you handle the tremendous pressure that you live with on day-to-day basis? And I just loved it when you said that it's okay to share authentically, be vulnerable of the areas that where you need support in, and just share, hey, this is what my strength, this is what I'm really good at. And at least I'm not going to forget, Shantaji, that we cannot make our weaknesses our strength. We can only diminish them, diminish the impact it can create on myself and on the team and on the organization. What a beautiful thought. You know, in everything, Shantaji, you have traveled the world. You have traveled with the few of the best leaders in the country, having on the board of several organizations, having worked with so many CEOs. How did you pick up that to ensure that you don't lose your basics, you don't lose your roots, right? And continued to be a humane first and then a CEO?
One incident which happened to me that basically taught me that if you are a good human being, you know you are respected. You need not be anything else. This happened in 2010. I still remember vividly. You know, as a CEO, of course, I was eligible to travel business class. You know, I was traveling from business class from 1992 onwards, always, whether domestically or internationally. Now, there was something, I was there in my room with my team members discussing something. Outside, I can hear some noise going on. My secretary was trying to get a business class ticket. Next, I was supposed to travel to Bombay. And some noise. I said, after the meeting is over, I called him. And I said, what's going on? He said, sir, I'm trying to get a business class, both Kingfisher and that days there was another well-known company. I'm just even forgetting. Okay, the business class tickets have skyrocketed. They're talking a huge money. I said, why don't you book me economy class? Then, sir, you are a CEO. How can you travel in economy class? So many people will be there. They'll be looking at you. That struck me, bloody hell. I'm living in someone else's eye. That vision of someone else's eye, this fellow was created to himself. All right, listen, forget about it. Go and book me in an Indigo. Indigo is the most democratic airline. Everybody is an economy class. Book me in an Indigo. That's all I'm going by Indigo. Full stop. Sir, I said, nothing doing, Indigo. And then I told him, today onwards, book me only by economy class and no other class. Only long international travel business class is acceptable, otherwise economy class. It went on. Some of the fellows who used to work for me, they're all traveling by business class. They started thinking, what is this joker doing? He is going by economy class. How can we travel business class? I called all of them. You all travel by business class. Don't worry about it. You're all eligible, you travel. One incident happened. It must have been within about 4 or 5 months of me making the decision. I was traveling from Delhi to Mumbai by Jet Airways, I remember it. And I was sitting, I think, in 8C or 10C. It is the first economy row. Then the flight is about to take off, time was coming, but still the door was not shut. Then later, one gentleman comes inside. Along with him, another soldier comes inside. Then when he's walking, the entire business class stood up. And he smiles at everybody. He peacefully comes and he sits next to me, either 8D or 10D, economy class seat. And the entire aircraft was standing. That was our great president, Abdul Kalam.
Wow.
And Mr. Abdul Kalam, by that time, he was no more a president. He was not traveling by any kind of his own jet or anything. He came, he was like, that struck me. His class did not matter. It is his personality. It is his humility. Abdul Kalamji for what he is. That's what people, all of them stood up and gave a respect to him. And that day I got more convinced that the class what to travel does not matter. The class is in you, in your personality. That creates the respect for you. I think then I was, trust me, even till today, I'm in various boards. I told all the boards, I will travel only by economy class. Please don't book me business class. Even today, local travel only economy class. I think that incident taught me a very lasting lesson in me. Be a good human being.
One is respected for the goodness and the humility one brings in and not for the designations. In fact, it reminds me of my first time and the last time meeting with Abdul Kalamji in his office in Delhi. And we went to him. We were doing a project for Bhakti Vedanta Hospital that comes under ISKCON. And I had the privilege, honor of meeting him for that project. I was in awe of him while I was sitting in one of the corners and just watching him. And when I got an opportunity to meet him, I could not believe my eyes. I mean, at no amount of imagination can do justice to what I saw there. The humility, the goodness, the fairness, the transparency, the kindness. I mean, he's an epitome of all the traits of a human that one can imagine. And I remember, I said, how do you manage to stay so grounded there? He said exactly that. One is respected for the goodness and the humility one brings in, not for the designations that you carry. That's exactly what he said. And what you're sharing is exactly, it's a demonstration of what he has always believed in. Now, when we bring in goodness and humility, Shantaji, it develops a very different sense of connection with the person that we are talking to. What do you think is the biggest impediment that comes in the way of a CEO in connecting with his team members and building trust?
I think two things. Authenticity. If you're not authentic to yourself and you create a facade about yourself, that brings a huge problem. That's the biggest issue. Why people can't guess you correctly, you are behaving like somebody who is different from what you are inherently. And what you are inherently, it comes out at some point of time. People are not fools. They can see you nakedly, what you are over a period of time. So authenticity is very important in my view. That matters a lot. The foundation of trust or basically authenticity and truthfulness. Truthfulness is also equally important. What is truthfulness? If you have something in your mind, say truthfully what you are thinking about it. Don't create a gap between the mind and the tongue.
Mind and the tongue, you said.
Don't create a gap between the mind and the tongue. If you are not sure, don't speak. No problem at all, don't speak. But don't speak what you don't believe in it. Then when you speak what you believe in it, be fully speak whatever you have in your mind. There are some people I found, I call it as a economical in truth. They tell you 50% of the truth, what they know, another 50% they don't tell. Then you are allowed to guess yourself many things. And that is wrong. When you tell truly what you believe in it, it is not necessarily you are right. Not necessarily you are right. It is also not necessarily others should believe you are right. Others may have an absolute difference of opinion. Be it so. Be it so. You think very differently from others. So be it so. But tell your mind truthfully what you think about it.
Yeah.
If later it worked out that you are wrong, accept it, you are wrong. You are not a superhuman being that you will be always right. Accept it, you are wrong. But your team will trust you for what you are. I think that is very important. What I found is that many senior executives, this is an issue. They are not authentic. And most of the time, they don't say what they honestly believe in it. They play to the gallery. And when they say, they put so much a sophisticated word to the raw emotion, that your raw emotion never came out. And others basically keep on wondering what you are trying to tell. Yeah.
Loved it. If you are not sure, don't speak. And don't speak what you don't believe. Yeah. I think that could be a quote in itself. That could be a quote. And, as a board of director, as an advisor to several CEOs, what do you think are the 3 questions each CEO should be asking from self to do justice to their role while they are connecting, while they are being authentic, while they are taking care of the business matrices? What are those 3 basic questions a CEO needs to ask?
See, first thing is that a CEO should always think, what is the legacy he or she is going to leave behind? If you are a CEO, if you don't behind a legacy, you are not worthy to be called as a CEO. And it should be clear in your mind, this is a legacy I want to leave behind. Okay. You should be clear. Then work for it relentlessly and make it known to the people that what will you visualize, and many decisions you have to make it, you have to relate it to the legacy you want to leave behind. Ideally, you co-create that legacy along with the team members. Make it as our legacy rather than my legacy. Co-create it and work towards this. This, I think, is very, very important if you are a CEO. Second thing is that you should vividly think about it. What is the social impact you want to leave behind? CEO's job is probably the best job you can have to create a social impact. Not many people are trusted with so much of wealth into our hand to make a social impact. You should think through that. What is the social impact you can make? I still remember I went to Gujarat Gas as a managing director. We were thinking that we are selling a commodity. I said, no, we are not selling a commodity. We sat through, it took 6 months. We said that we make a natural gas the preferred energy solution. We are in an energy solution business. How can you reduce the impact on the environment is our business. I still remember I went to Indus Towers as the CEO. And I found that, to my utter dismay, that we were India's 3rd largest guzzler of diesel after Indian Army and the Indian Railway. I said, this is not acceptable to me. If my grandchildren come and tell me that you have really ruined the environment of this country, what the hell answer I'm going to give it? So we had an audacious goal, all of us put together. We said that when we reduce our diesel consumption by 2/3 in 5 years' time. In fact, our business has become 2.5 times, but we reduced the diesel by more than 2/3 over the period of 5 years. Because social impact, it is very important. The next thing is that you should always do as a CEO is that the culture. Culture is fundamental. You define along with a team member what culture your company stands for. The culture basically has got three elements. The purpose statements, which you may call it a vision statement or a purpose statement. Then the values which support this purpose statement. But the most important, the behaviors, which is the reflection of your values. Focus on the behaviors and the values and the purpose statement continuously, and continuously support everybody who reflects that behavior, that value system. Not merely performance, but the culture matters much more than performance. Normally, if you're a very well-cultured company, performance always comes. Take it from me. Long-term performance of the well-cultured companies is far more sustainable than run-of-the-mill companies. That comes. So as a CEO, you should clearly know what culture you want to leave behind.
Yeah. You know, interestingly, all the 3 points that you're speaking about, Shantharaju, whether you're talking about the legacy that we are going to leave behind as a team, right? The second one is the social impact we are creating in the organization, in the country or in the industry that we are a part of. The third thing you spoke about culture, what company culture do we stand for, where you spoke about the purpose, where you spoke about the values and the behavior which are in alignment to the value system, right? The behavior which is in alignment to the value system. You know, it requires a huge amount of foresightedness. What do you think? What are the basic pushbacks that you as a CEO experience from the team when you are thinking, when you have this kind of thinking? So what kind of pushbacks that you get and how do you deal with that pushback?
See, generally, initially, people will always think that, oh, he's all talking nice to talking. There's always, this kind of a cynicism. Okay. Because it depends. If you have gone to a company which is existing for decades, then already some culture is existing, then you have to maneuver around, you have to build it. If you are going to a company where you have got a freak, canvas to write and paint, whatever you want to do, it is a little bit more easier. Okay. Sure. But it doesn't matter, wherever you go, you can create it. And there's always a disbelief. And there's always a belief that ye hone wala nahi hai. There's always a belief ye baat karne ke liye theek hai. This all happens. But from disbelief to the belief is a continuum. It takes a time. And you should have a patience to do that. Okay. And there are so many rituals through which you can reinforce those behaviors. There are so many processes through which you can reinforce those behaviors. I'll give an example. We had very clearly in my previous company that unless your employees are happy people, no way you can get your promotion, no way you can get promoted. That happiness should be measured by the employee engagement score, that team score. If your team score is lower than a particular level, overall your team members are rated in our team, no way you can get promoted, no way you can get a superlative performance, no way. Because you can't run on the blood of the people to create a performance. That's not acceptable. Second thing is that if your customers have rated you badly, no way you can get promoted. Not possible, sorry. Third thing is that we have a 360 degree in which all the people will tell you what you are. All three are to be a threshold. You have to cross the threshold. Right? Sometimes we are willing to accept a little bit lesser performance of someone who has crossed all these three thresholds because that person's performance is a lot more sustainable over a longer period of time. And there's a human face into it. But the so-called performers who is run on the blood of the people, who have created all the turmoil in the team, they will fail. Maybe 1 year is considered. But when they fail, they create a lot more turmoil to the organization. I think you need to believe in it. And you need to basically make it known. Every year I used to write a mail after everything is over. I used to have top 45 people. Among top 45 people, I used to say, without naming them, there are 3 people whom, though they were recommended for promotion for the higher performance rating, I did not give it because they did not meet these 3 threshold criteria. So entire company knows. That means if it can happen at such a highest level, It can happen to anybody.
Mm.
Why? Why I'm trying to say is that fairness matters.
Mm.
Okay. If you really see the underlying principle for all these things, if you really look at it, is a fairness.
Fairness, yeah.
If you're fair, your team members are really good.
Mm.
If you're fair, generally your customers like you.
Yeah.
Generally they like you. Okay. If you're fair, your colleagues around you and all other people who are impacted by you, right, will trust you.
They would value
One
you.
thing we know, fairness is a little bit elastic. Your sense of fairness is not necessarily same as the other person's sense of fairness, which is understandable. But when you stand in front of the mirror, ask a question, am I fair?
Mm.
If you are satisfied you are fair, that's it.
Yeah. You know, it's so interesting that a few days back, I was with a group of people, I was with a team, and the CEO was leading this conversation with his 7 direct reportees. And the conversation was revolving around fairness and transparency, right? And interestingly, during our conversation with you as well, where you mentioned that you work with CEOs to succeed collectively. And this last week, that example that I'm sharing with you, I was thinking that how can all these 7 people, 7+1 CEO, how can these all people come together to march towards the goal that these people are talking about? Now, I could see there was a lot of undercurrents which people were not speaking, but was so visible in their body language and the energy in the room, the way these people were sitting. 2 people were sitting in one corner, 3 people were sitting in one corner, 2 people were sitting in one corner, and the CEO was speaking to all of them. And every time when he was making a sincere attempt to rally these people would come, and then again there was the fall of energy in that moment. How do you ensure that the CEO that you're working with, he or she succeeds collectively with the team? And what does that mean to you?
See, first thing is that CEO's failure is extremely costly to the organization. It's very costly. We should know. Okay. And we all have to make a CEO and his team to succeed collectively. That is the job of the board. That's a job of the advisory board. That is the job of the people like me. Okay. And if you find that there are negative forces, better to eliminate them rather than tolerate them. Give 1 or 2 chances, just please eliminate them. So I think that the most important thing we do is that I make it known to the CEO and the team who reports to the CEO, I'm here to make all of you collectively succeed. That's my job. If you all collectively succeed, the company will succeed. That's given. So I think that we do quite a lot of it. We do ask them that what are your major goals, your personal goal in your life, what is the organization goal, do they match together? Then what are the key values that you people think that this company should have it to make your goal achievable? And then, of course, on top of it is that we do put a lot of software side. Okay, how do we ensure that all these software side come together? The key question is that this is a question I asked long time back in the Indus Towers that guided us. If you employ somebody, do you employ an individual or do you employ a family? You have to decide.
Yeah.
If you employ a family, all your HR system processes, everything changes along with that. Along with that comes the ritual. How often CEO and their team members, along with their family members, meet? Or once in a year, some godforsaken place. Can you keep meeting once in a quarter? If possible, once a month? How do you bring all of them together so that tomorrow when these people work together, they don't try to make their colleague a failure. They don't run on the blood of someone else. Most of the time is that in the organizational dynamics, it is basically the colleagues make other fellow a failure. But if you bring the family together, if their wives are good friends, the spouses are good friends, you don't try to do that kind of a thing. If their children are good friends, you have a very different way in which you deal with all your organizational politics. So job is to ensure that they all collectively together succeed, but various ways you can figure it out, how do you make it. But somewhere they have to work together as a family, not as individuals. I think there's a big job by itself. It takes a lot of time.
Absolutely, a lot of efforts. Yeah,
a lot of effort. Yeah.
Just wondering, you've worked with so many teams.
Oh, most important advice I got was in 1984, and I had my coach and my personal coach. Even company was not involved with it. I had my own personal coach, personal relationship with him, and I used to meet him. That individual is no more now, and is very well known professor called Professor S. Roy. Once I told him, sir, Professor, I'm too young, and somewhere otherwise those days, as I said, 35 I was the CFO. So I would have been around 36 or 37 when I met him. And I said that the issue I'm facing is that somehow or other, wherever I go, people do not, they think that I'm not a CFO. I'm not the guy, and they look for, somebody has sent me. The CFO has sent me in front of them. And optically, it is becoming a difficult issue. He told me some fantastic thing. You don't try to project yourself anything. Be yourself. You can't change your age. You can't change your look. Just be yourself. And second thing is that there are some strength which brought you here. Just protect the strength and improve those strengths. If you have this is your weakness, why don't you recruit somebody who can compensate you for this weakness? And in fact, I searched after 6 months, I recruited one individual, one of the fantastic individuals I recruited in my life. And he was 6 years younger to me. While recruiting, I told him, are you okay to report to a guy who is much younger than you? He said, absolutely no problem. So the fact that you are asking me, I know that one will fight with each other. Then everywhere we go, they used to think he is my boss. He will always say, I'm his boss. I used to tell her, don't worry about it. Who is whose boss doesn't matter at all. That's more in life.
Yeah.
I think that what is important is that there's something you can change. That don't try to, try to become more smart or not required. Not required. I can personally tell you my English is not good. I studied in Kannada medium till 12th standard. And I tried my level best to improve my English, but even today grammatically it is wrong. I know that when there are many grammatical errors which happen in my English, I'm not going to care about it. Right? Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. I wish the world works like that. Every day in the newspaper, you will get to see that this organization has laid off so many people. I think this is the season of layoffs going on. What are your views on this?
See, I must tell you personally, once I did lay off people. I did that in Gujarat Gas because before I going there, the company's profitability was going down. It was taking a nosedive. And I had to take that tough call. Otherwise, it would have really become difficult situation. But having done that, I told everybody, for whatever I wanted to do, bad thing, I have done it. Now onwards, trust me, I will never ever do this for this company again. People did not believe me, but as the day progressed, they started believing in me. The fear has gone. There was another company where the same issue I faced. We had excessive people, but we are a very profitable company. And I told them, I'm not going to sack anybody under any circumstances. Some of the board members were after me. I said, listen, I have about 20% extra people. All that is required is simple. Our attrition is about 11 to 12% a year. In 1.5 years, everything gets sorted out. If I do a sacking now, its consequence and the moral impact is extremely high. The social impact on the people is extremely high. We say we employ a family, not an individual. I'm not going to see those families suffer. I came under intense pressure. I said, come what may, I'm not going to do it. That's it. Okay. If you think this has to be done, get someone else who will do it. Okay.
Not me.
Not me. I'm not going to do it because we are profitable. We are doing very well. That 20% of extra people in 1.5 years it will be set right. Cost base will be reset. That was the end of it. So you need to have a conviction. You need to have a context. If the context is that you are really going down the drive, don't allow that. Then take whatever the tough thing you have to do it because you are paid for it. But if that is not the case, don't run on the blood of the people.
Yeah.
That is not acceptable. Yeah.
Just wondering, having walked this path, having been in a situation where you had to lay off people, having walked on this path where you were a porter, and then there came a time when you are instrumental in the education for over 100 students, right? Out of which 55 are already qualified doctors and engineers. Having gone through so much in your life, when did you realize that, hey, you know what? I've earned something in my life? What was that moment in your life?
I think that came much later in my life.
Mm.
You'll be surprised, post-retirement, I understood that what I've earned in my life. It was a moment, my son's marriage. So my son's marriage was there. I prepared a list of invitees. My family had done more than 2,000 people, came with all relatives, that's fine. But my professional level, I created a list. And I know they're all over. And I thought that one, maybe a list is big, I'll call all of them. Maybe 20 may come, 25 may come at most. I still remember I went and booked block 20 rooms in Shangri-La, Bangalore. Then I sent an invitation. Then I started getting acceptances coming, I'm coming, with spouse and all. I said, my God, you can't believe it went to 118 room nights I had to book it.
Wow.
And then that hotel told me they don't have any more rooms. Then I had to book another 10 rooms in another region. So at that day, I recognized, hey, there's something I earned in my life.
Mm.
Otherwise, so many people all over India, they are coming. And out of that one incident, it really touched my heart. There were 3 of them whom at some point of time in my professional career, I separated them from the organization. 3 of them were those people whom I separated. But still, I maintained a good relationship with them. Out of those 3, 2 came with their spouses.
Wow.
See, we may be professional, we may see things a little bit more professionally, but the spouses do not forget these incidences. But even they, that is because we had this family concept in which even my wife knew them very well. They were all close friends. Whatever happened professionally happened. But at a personal level, bonding was extremely strong. But I also ensured that there were 2 out of 3. I did place them somewhere else. Not such a good job, but impact was mitigated. That is the time I honestly felt that I've really truly earned something in my life. Till then, I did not recognize it. Till then, I really did not know what I earned in my life. That was a moment, I think, is a very satisfying moment in my life.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think at the end, it's the kindness, it's the way you treat people that matters. And Shantharji, your life has been like that. Your life has been an epitome of what it means to be kind-hearted and humble individuals. Few of our common friends, they've always admired you for the leadership that you bring in, sheer from a space of sheer service and care and growth for the other person. So thank you so much for being who you are. I think we need more leaders like you.
Thank you very much. So kind of you. So kind of you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
God bless all of them. Yeah. And to end it up is this much. This world has given me much more than what I need, much more than what I deserve. This world is extremely generous to me. And I can't repay that generosity, whatever I do in my life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.